So this is the engine bay dress up in my Falcon, and it looks terrible. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I took it from looking like this to this. So the first thing we need to do is remove the engine bay dress up from the car, which is as easy as removing these 4 bolts. Once removed, the piece simply lifts out of place, revealing the engine beneath. As you can see, the existing paint is really no good and is flaking right off, so we need to get this stripped. To remove the existing paint, I used a combination of a pressure washer as well as a scraper to scrape it off. In hindsight, I'd recommend probably not using a scraper, as you'll see in the final result that I cut into the plastic slightly and left a few blemishes. Paint stripper may have been a better option here, but I was a little bit concerned that it might react with the plastic. With most of the paint stripped, it was now time to do the final cleanup. This involves scuffing up the surface with an abrasive pad to give the paint something to stick to. I used a very fine abrasive pad that was found at Super Cheap to achieve this. Next was masking up the piece, and for this I literally just used a garbage bag of all things and some painter's tape. So just trying to section off the bits that I don't want to get paint on. Now I didn't get myself on camera doing this, but the next thing I did before painting was gave the whole thing a wipe down with wax and grease remover. So for the paint, I started with a high fill primer from MTN, which is a super cheap brand. I've used this paint a few times and I find it actually lays out quite well. Yeah, my painting technique probably still needs work, but the end result still looks better than what we had. So I ended up doing 2 coats of the primer and giving it about 10 minutes between the coats. I mean, as you can see, it kind of looks a bit textury in the video, but once it fully dries, it actually sets nice and level. The nice thing about this primer is it really doesn't need too long to dry. I think I only waited about 20 minutes before I came and wet sanded it. So right now you can see the primer is dry and how the finish ended up, and it's not too bad. Next I gave all the primer a wet sand with 800 grit just to smooth out the surface a bit. In an ideal world, really shouldn't be doing this by hand with fingers because you generally end up with low spots. But for a piece like this, it doesn't really matter. It's not the body of the car. If I was to do the body of the car, that might be a different story. So again, we bust out the garbage bags and the painter's tape and just mask it all up, ready for the final layer of the top coats. So for the base coat, I wanted to keep it consistent with the factory color or as close to it as possible. So I grabbed some NTN, again MTN branded because I find they spray pretty good, heat resistant spray paint. And then I also sealed that in with some MTN heat resistant clear. So as this is a heat resistant spray paint, it doesn't spray out like normal flat spray paint, if that makes sense. It actually has kind of a textured finish to it, which I'm completely fine with. I actually think it looks quite nice. So I ended up doing 3 coats of the base and 2 coats of the clear, and this is how it looked right after that second coat of clear. So I then gave it 24 hours to dry and then came back and fitted it the next day. I'm pretty happy with the results that came out of the spray cans, but as with anything I do, and with most things that anyone does, there is always room for improvement. So as I said before, when I was using the scraper, I did leave a few little lines in the finish, which you can see here, and potentially my masking job. I could have done a better job. I'll now leave you with some clips of how this looks in the car. I think it definitely looks a lot better than what we started with. Thanks for watching.